Okay, so I'm just gonna go through some of the artworks that I've made over the past few months, talk a bit about them, or not. This first one is collaged over a magazine page. I wanted to include as many reflective materials as I can, so I got glitter, some shiny paper, something I found on a traffic cone, and it's called The Cult of Dionysus, because that was a song that I was listening to at the time, and I was sort of blending two things I was interested in, so classical art retold in the modern day and the space race aesthetic thing, which you'll probably see a bit later. This is another classical work retold, well, not classical work, but it's called Sirens. It's sirens. You got the water here, the rock here, possibly a ship wrecked, and then these two ladies are obviously sirens, lowering you to your death, etc. Their faces are glitched out, which I quite like. This was done with screen print. This was like I think it was either the remaining bit around the image or just a texture. But anyway, it looks cool. And yeah, not much more to say on that. This one again, some traffic cone found objects, tinfoil, moon. There was this moon image I found in a big issue, which I quite liked. This is an image from Dazed magazine, experimenting with abstraction here. Really cool texture from some newspaper I found from back in like the 90s or early 2000s. Don't know what it's about, but it looks cool. This is a piece which I did in sort of the abstracted face portrait series. It's very simple. This is from Tank magazine, as you can see out there. Just some abstract shapes. That's with pen, that's with collage. And then I drew around in the outline, which is something I've seen a few people do. This was part of a mini-series I did called Fragmentation, and what I'd do is I'd get an image ruler. You can still see some of the biro lines there where I drew and cut it up and then sort of pieced them together in a jigsaw randomly, but all the lines had to be straight, like that, which is quite cool. You'll think there's some others in there as well. Experimenting with texture, we've got 3 different textures, and you've got the physical sandpaper texture, physical tape, also looking at the way the colour changes as you overlay it, some nice rough paper from a book with some nice words on it, and some rough, I think, pastel paper. Yeah, that was just an experiment with textures. Another fragmentation, can go either way up. One image with this image as well. I think these were from a Coronation magazine, these definitely were. From the Queen's funeral. Yeah. I quite like how you can sort of see what's going on. You know, you've got this man kissing this woman, and it's all blurred up, so you don't know. You know, you have to sort of piece it together. This one, sort of like on the themes of looking in the mirror, you know, identity, celebrity, whatever you want. I was really into shiny stuff, so got this lady with the glitter over, and I think I trimmed off down here where her dress was, but I wanted to include it, so I just put it there to fill up the space, and then I put, I think you can see over there, some plastic cover, which I found easier to attach the glitter with than glue, because you just pour it on and then put the plastic over the top. I also did that with the Cult of Dionysus, as you can see. This one, similar to the last one, this is a picture of Dua Lipa from Dazed magazine. A lot of found objects in this one. You've got, I don't know what this is, some string of pearls kind of thing. I really like the image, but I'd had it for a while and didn't know what to use it for, so I just decided to just use it, you know. It's not going to be there forever. So loads of different techniques here. Materials, you've got the found objects, the paper obscuring the eyes, paint smudged around, paint straight out the tube and dots, some glittery paper there, rough. This is also Dazed magazine, some people who were dressed up in toy masks. Quite cool. Yeah, I really like this. I think I had sort of like a 3-work mini-series triptych kind of thing of beauty, these two being part of that. There may be one later, possibly. Either that or it's just 2. This is torn from a sketchbook page because I wanted to have a book full of collages, but that didn't work, and I didn't like, you know, getting paper, making collage on it, and then putting the paper on paper, but the paper was mixed media. Just didn't like that. I thought it was a waste. But anyway, these are on my website. You can see like the, you know, the sort of mini-series of animal collages, and that was just because I had some really cool animal magazines from a thing I found on the ground. And yeah, inspired by Monique Bauman. Got a few different papers here, magazine, just some printer paper, card, magazine, abstract shapes. Obviously you got the seahorse here, bit of overflow glitter. Screen printing, yet another cool texture. I really like that. I should do more. This is from Tank magazine. That's the same as the texture earlier, leopard, but then I sort of liked how it merged into this like pipe kind of trunk thing, so it's sort of combining 2 animals, that was something I was interested in, you know, because there was a pop magazine that I found which had pictures of humans from National Theatre dressing up as sort of like witches in animal masks, and I liked how they sort of tried to blend the 2 forms. Bit eerie, but you know, I like to try and connect the shapes. This is from one of my biggest interest series. This is the Masks series. This is a very abstract one, just done on printer paper. I had some leftover papers. Main piece here is this hare from a book of pictures of people, which I used the rest for a you know, another mask in my sketchbook, which I may show at a later date, probably in the flip through. So there's that, and then it morphs into this thing from GQ magazine. Let me glue that down. This guy had some funky teeth, but I think I used that in another sketchbook. Abstract shapes here. These were all cut-offs from, so there was an image in the middle, and I cut that out and used it, but then I wanted to keep them because I like them, so I kept them in scraps, and then I just put them over the top. And I like how there's a form to the face, you know, because it sort of makes sense. You know, the hair's here, the ear, the jaw's a bit too far up, but it goes down. It really needs gluing. The lip, part of the lip, the teeth. It's very quite creepy. And then you got some electrical tapes and stage tapes from when I did some set design. This one is a mixed media work, using some electrical tape again, called Hermes. As you can see by the sticker there, that sticker's from #StickerWithTank, Tank magazine. This is from a book of art, history of art, and yeah, again, blending the old classical works with the space age kind of thing, and yeah, so I think I wanted to make this look like it was a astronaut, and then I found this Hermes sticker and I thought, ooh, that could go with something, give it a title, a meaning without even trying. This is just from me hanging it on the wall. But yeah, I think this is a really good example of how my series blend together. So you've got masks, abstracted faces, classical, you know, more recent history in it. And I think one of the reasons I like blending and exploring these recent and ancient history is just because, for me, I mean, I'm starting to draw, I like all sorts of history, but I think mostly it's either ancient or really recent for me. But I'm starting to like the older stuff. the sort of mid-older stuff. Another mask series. This took me years, maybe a year to make. I was trying to just play around, put this picture of a lady with another chair over the top, just why not. Didn't like it because I didn't think it had a meaning, so I left it, but I didn't throw it away because I liked it. And then I came back to it and I went, you know what, I'm just going to do something with it. And then more of this texture that you've seen earlier. The colourful language of Australian president, Russian statesman or something like that, from a magazine. These are all like thrifted magazines, so thrifted. Second hand. This is sort of the basis of the Masks abstraction series. I did this whole thing in like a day, which you'll see, where I got an image and then I cut up these strips of paper and obscured the image. Not sure why, there could be many reasons, like this bit of tape here, but I really like it. It creates a sense of movement, especially in this one. This is really good. I play the trumpet, so I think that's one of the reasons why I chose this image. But I really love the yellow, it's like an abstracted trumpet. So there's a high sense of movement coming this way, from all these blasts of sound waves or whatever, you know, movement, energy. It's more masking tape, you know, doing the same effect but also obscuring the eyes. I'd overlay it until I couldn't see the eyes anymore, sort of like a Modigliani kind of thing. You can slightly see them, at least I can. Don't know if the camera picks it up. That's really good, I like it. Ancient works, retold again. This bit was added later. We didn't start the fire. So I was looking a lot at Cold War, and I heard that Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" was a song based around that time. So I thought, well, that phrase goes quite well with this idea. And this was around the time Oppenheimer came out. So American Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. For this he was chained to a rock and tortured for eternity. Prometheus and Icarus are, well, really all the ancient stories that I've studied. I really enjoy. But I think it's a nice tale, which has still got some merit today because of, well, you know, all the way to the Second World War. Man could not be trusted with fire, stuff like that. You've got ransom note style lettering, collage. The mouth on this figure, I really like that. This figure could work on its own. More of the Abstraction series. Guy reminds me of Bruno Mars, don't know why. Yeah. Not much else to say on that one really, but I tried to follow the rough contour of him with the strips. So you got his coat coming in there, so I did it there. His face is like that, going that way. Arms around that way. Sort of like if you were sketching it out with a brush. This guy, think he was a director, same kind of thing. Following the contour of the face, put this bit down there because I felt like it. Abstracting the eyes but also framing the face sort of. I like how the nose peers out of here. It would almost work just close up like that. I feel that would work. But yeah, I did all of those in a day. Looking more at Monique Bauman, she's a great artist. Try and link her website below if I can, remember. She did a really cool collage of a horse, so I found a horse from the same magazine of People that I used for the first mask picture. Same texture that you've seen before, same masking tape that you've seen before. It's a really thin strip there. I cut this bit straight and I tore that bit and I stuck it back together. And you can see the next picture through there because I was trying to conserve materials. Yeah, and you can see that's the sort of thing you get on most pages, but you could also, just use the big image. I like the early 2000s style of photography. This this is part of my classical work, the unicorn. Yeah, it's not a unicorn, but I like this bit, it looks like a unicorn. And then you got the strips of paper, abstracting it again. It's a really organic shape from a picture I did, trying to combine all my reflective and shiny images, which is currently behind a bookcase. And I really like that. It's actually a picture of St. George, done by another artist I tore out of a book. Something else back there. Yeah, but I really like that. I could make a collage on the other side of here now I think about it. And you know, be green, because I could scan them and they would just be as worthy. This is a funny artwork, inflatable. Like, it's just bizarre, isn't it? So all I added to this image was this piece here, because I think it was the same type of thing. And actually that is the same image as in one of the animal collages. I think. Oh no, maybe it's not. Thought it was the same as this bit, but it's not. Just funny, you know, comedy series. Okay, so that's all of the ones that I sort of did in the summer, sort of like this time last year, plus a few months. And I was like, usually I make artwork to get out of a creative rut because I feel I can't do anything in my book, especially now my 600-page book is a bit hard to work in, so I like to get out. Anyway, so this is the stuff that I've been doing more recently, very inspired by Beg4Cred on Instagram. First thing, this was done with masking tape to get a straight line. This was more organic with no masking tape. It's black watercolour ink, and this red shouldn't be there. This gold spot in the middle, but with a brush pen as well. Looks like DNA, some kind of cell frozen in plasma. Really like it. This one is just checking what the writing says. There's an exhibit in a cathedral which I went to see, and I was inspired by the Gothic architecture and I wanted to do something at that. This was done at really late at night, so I just got a pen, and it was too late at night, so I tried to be quiet, scribble those, and then watercolour them, so you can still see the sort of zebra pattern. Did over there, more of these implied Gothic details, stars in the sky, and then I tried to put a small man there. That's sort of like Jack is a genius on Instagram style thing. These are just the pastels I had to hand, and it's called The Arches in God's House, brackets, Gothic architecture. And then I've got phrases that just came to mind. Just a burning memory, man is so small, in space he is lost. Ooh, you know. This one inspired it's basically a study of an artwork by Beg4Cred. It's just a face. Really, I like it, yeah. This is not finished. This is a piece from GQ magazine. I like cutting out these shapes. This is from my, I don't know what you'd call it, I put it in my abstract collage section. This is oil stick, but it's got Prada, because I use most of the pages where I can get just block colour are the advert pages, at the beginning of fashion magazines, so yeah, this writing means nothing to me. I haven't read it, might mean something, probably does, but just use the white as, because you know there's usually, it's an artistic magazine, so they like the graphic design element, so there's usually a white page with an image on another side, and the only thing is the writing for the image, so you can get a whole full page of image, and I just like using those as free canvases. Another free canvas, this was using some text from the same magazine that I pulled up, cut, flip this one round, and that was like that for a while, but then I decided to put some red paint straight out the tube onto it. Yeah, typography type thing. Various magazines have had this piece lying around for a while. I think that this bit is don't think that's a blot, I think that's actually part of the magazine. This is interesting because a few of the collages that I've done of people recently have been when I've torn something out, like a colour or a part of a face, or I've I've been cutting something out of a magazine with a knife, and I've accidentally torn something else out as well, and then you get these two images from two different pages shining through to each other, and they work. That was what this was. So I literally just bent the page, cut this piece so the rest of this page is still in there, and then glued them together, and that was that. And then added this piece. Sort of like this person's lying down, this person's lying down as well. Really like that. And it's a nice example of abstract, instinctual, what's the word, I don't know, random luck art, sort of. This one's not done, because it's just, I mean, I like the idea of exploring the different forms of the canvas. This piece was very deliberately cut in that shape, but it might not be done, it might be added to something else, so I'll keep it out of the portfolio. This was Monique Baumann, just an arm here, and masking tape, put some acrylic paint on it. This blue could be brighter, but I quite like it dark like that. I love how there's just a small little triangle. I like how shapes can be dissected, and how you can create new shapes. This is a quadrilateral, but it's also a triangle. There's a small triangle there. Yeah. And then this is a quadrilateral, but that's also a quadrilateral. This one was the first one I did, inspired by Beg for Cred, about 2-3 weeks ago. It's something I'd done before. I was flicking through one of my old magazines, my old sketchbooks, sorry, one that I didn't finish just yet, and I saw this, where I'd got an image of a person, profile, cut it up, rejigged the images. And then I used watercolour pencil in water on the page, just blank water, to sort of get it to bleed. Put some pen there as well. The water, I think it should have been all over, because then it could have bled out more naturally, but you've sort of got these more darker patches of plain contrast. Asemic writing doesn't mean anything, but it means everything. I added that a bit later when I thought, you know, it needs something at the bottom. I think this guy's an actor or a wrestler or a boxer. I don't know, and I don't care. He just had his profile was good to use. I did this one today, about 6 hours ago, inspired by Beg for Cred, and I was thinking of the name when I wrote it, so there's a sort of BG4 there, but that was not intentional. So I just turned, it was asemic writing, but I think subconsciously I wrote it, so I changed it. And he was doing these really cool portraits in Paris a few days ago. So these were basically studies of, there's another one here, and it was a study of something he'd done. And he did use watercolour inks, I think, straight into water, or actually red wine. But I used Sharpie. I thought it would bleed, but it didn't, so yeah. Charcoal in the background, I smudged some stuff, I used water there, smudged this, that was just graphite. And yeah, it's cool. And I like how even the back is an artwork of its own. You can see more on the other one, as it was worked into more. One of my few landscape ones. This was, I'm reading and have nearly finished The Talented Mr. Ripley, the first book. And I've watched the TV show and the film, love it. So I was trying to sort of recreate the front cover edition of the book I've got. So you've got these images of like wealth, pleasure, sex, jealousy in there, along with the ocean, these big black streaks of like violence or whatever, and also the way the window here is dissecting this image, sort of like Tom's watching Marge and Dickie. You won't know what I mean, maybe, if you haven't read it or seen it in any way. Okay, this one can be held either way up. I also did this today, and I was inspired by a sort of surrealist technique I was taught a while ago, where you get two images, you bolt them together and you cut them up without seeing them. Technically you're supposed to put bits of paper over the top, and originally, well, it was funny because when I started it, the guy who was instructing me told me, don't look, you're not allowed, you know, it has to be completely instinctual, you know, the images don't matter, it's what comes after. And I wanted to take a photo of the magazine images, but I couldn't, because that's not what it was about. This is just inspired by it. It's quite childish, but I think I quite like it. I was just experimenting this morning. And this was a really nice thing I found in like a Vogue magazine, but I had it for ages, not ages, but I didn't know what else I was going to use it for except just like sticking it in as a page in a book, so I thought I may as well use it. And then I thought, well, what else can I add? These lines, joining up these lines, bleeding the pen, watercolour, post-it note. And I like how these bits of face are abstracted. And